Chapter 1. It was 9 o'clock in the morning, inside the luxurious Lopez mansion, in the kitchen. A young man stared hard at his wristwatch. A frown made its way to his face when he saw the time on his wristwatch. 2 hours had passed, and he was still far from finishing his chores. The young man's name was Liam Steinfeld, and he was the live-in son-in-law of the Lopez family. Taking his eyes off his wristwatch, Liam sighed irritably as he stared at the dirty dishes that needed cleaning. And after that, he still needed to wash his wife's clothes. Being a live-in son-in-law, Liam had to cook, clean, take his in-laws' kids to school, and do all the housework for the Lopez family. Not only that, but he also had to endure a lot of insults from the whole family. Even the maids and butlers were above him in the house. His life had become a living hell ever since he stepped foot in the mansion. "Liam, clean my bedroom and wash the kids' clothes," a female voice from the living room said. "Don't forget to wash my clothes too," the female added in a mocking tone. With a bitter smile, Liam replied politely, "I'll do it soon, ma'am." "You better. You know what will happen if you don't do what you're told, right?" the woman asked in a cold voice. The woman was his older sister-in-law, Milo Lopez, and she made his life hell every day. Liam let out a sigh as he got back to cooking breakfast for the Lopez family. A frown slowly made its way to his face when he looked at his wristwatch once again and saw the time. It was already 9:55 a.m. greater than, and he had to be at an hour. "If I don't drop everything I'm doing and get ready for my job interview, I'll be late," Liam thought to himself. "Hurry up, it's 9 o'clock. Breakfast should have been ready a while ago, you lazy ass." Kathy, his wife's little sister, yelled from the living room. Her disrespectful voice made Liam frown irritably. The fact that Liam was a lot older than her only motivated her to disrespect him more, and there was nothing he could do. "In a second, sister-in-law," Liam replied humbly. He didn't want to upset her, or else she would make his day worse than it already was. Sighing disappointedly, Liam focused his eyes on the plate he was washing. That's what his life has become now. In the mansion, they even gave him the title of unpaid maid. And the name fitted him well, cause he was like a maid in the mansion, and working the house. Clenching his fists, Liam entered a train of thoughts as he recalled how he got in this situation. 4 months ago, Leon's little sister got sick. She was diagnosed with brain and spinal cord tumors, and the surgery for her disease cost almost $500,000. Having just graduated from college, Liam didn't have that much money. Hell, he couldn't even afford decent clothes, and there was no way he could have afforded his sister's treatment. Even so, he worked multiple jobs to try and find the money, but he still couldn't earn enough. Left with no choice, Liam swallowed his pride and tried to borrow from his friends and everyone he thought could help, but they all seemed to avoid him and made fun of him. They called him all sorts of names. They called him a useless, miserable person. After a month of working his ass off to find the money for his sister's treatment, Liam was fortunate enough to run into Erin, a famous actress, who offered to pay his sister's hospital bill. But on one condition, Liam had to sign a marriage contract with her. To save his sister's life, Liam signed the contract without thinking twice about it. At that moment, Erin looked like she had been sent from heaven cause she showed up to the time he needed help the most. And Liam was the happiest. Not only did he find the money to save his sister, but he also married his favorite actress, the beautiful Erin Lopez. But unfortunately, Liam found the money to pay his sister's hospital bills a little too late when he was on his way to the hospital to pay the bills. He got a call from the hospital, informing him that his little sister didn't make it, and that made Liam's heart break. He felt like such a failure for failing to save his sister, the only family he had left. Even though he didn't use the money that Erin gave him, Liam was still stuck in a contract marriage with Erin Lopez, who treated him with no respect. She treated him like he didn't have emotions, just like her family member did. And there was simply no way he could escape the marriage, since it was stated in the contract that he had to pay a huge sum of money if he had to walk out of the marriage. "Liam, where the hell is my laptop?" A loud, cold voice snapped Liam out of his thoughts. and he frowned as he recognized whom the voice belonged to. It was his wife's voice. With a sigh, Liam turned to look at his wife. "Liam, I asked you a question," Aaron asked rudely, her cold green eyes glaring at her useless husband. Nervously scratching the back of his head, Liam politely replied, "It's on the balcony. I was using it to do my ... double quotes." Aaron cut Liam's sentence by giving him a tight slap across the face, leaving a red-hat hand. "Son of a bitch, how many times do I have to tell you to not touch my stuff?" Aaron shouted, as if she was talking to a little boy, pointing her index finger at him as she continued, "Don't ever touch my stuff, trash," she warned him and stormed out of the kitchen. She was so cruel towards her husband, but compared to other people in the family, Liam would think because she still didn't treat him with the respect he deserved. So she was just like everyone in his life, which just made Liam so sad that he wanted to die. Sometimes he wondered why she married him at all. Sighing exasperatedly, Liam looked at his wristwatch again, realizing there was no way he could make it to the interview in time. "I guess I'll have to try another day," Liam mumbled disappointedly. "If my life stays like this, I'm never gonna get a job or accomplish anything in life," he added, sighing disappointedly once more. He had worked hard to get that interview, but now he couldn't go because he had to cook for his in-laws. They had maids, but they still made him do the house chores. Sometimes he wondered what the Lopez needed maids for when they had him. It was at times like these when he wished he could just get out of this contract marriage, but he couldn't. Not unless he had the money stated on the contract. He had asked Aaron for divorce many times, but she always refused. Only if his adopted parents didn't die in that plane crash the other night. Things would have been perfect now for Liam. Maybe his little sister would still be alive. When his adopted parents were still alive, money was not an issue in Liam's life. He didn't have a lot, but it was enough. But when his parents died, everything changed. He and his little sister lost everything they had to their greedy uncles and aunts, who left them in the streets. And when his little sister was sick, Liam went to ask them for help, hoping they'll help him since his little sister was their niece. But he deeply disappointed when they all refused to help. Not only that, but they humiliated him in public. As Liam was lost in thought once again, a beautiful woman in her 40s walked in the kitchen. She had dark hair and was wearing a nightgown, which cost more than Liam's whole things. Walking further in the kitchen, she stopped and briefly glared daggers at Liam. However, Liam acted like he didn't see her. He just continued doing his work. Taking her cold eyes off him, she walked to the refrigerator. Opening the refrigerator, she took out a bottle of water and opened it. She took a sip and turned, disdainfully looking at her useless son-in-law. "Mother-in-law, good morning," Liam greeted, smiling faintly at her. The woman rolled her eyes. "I feel sorry for my daughter. She's married to a useless son of a bitch, like you." Mrs. Lopez sneered, glaring daggers at Liam. He was really the most useless person she had ever seen in her life, and she despised him to the core. What has my family ever done to deserve such a useless man as our son-in-law? Ignoring her words, Liam got back to cutting the onions. He was used to her insults, and he had learned to cope with it by then. After all, he didn't think he should be blamed for being their son-in-law as much as they did. But unfortunately, Erin refused to divorce him. That's because she was using Liam to keep her suitors away, and she was ruining his life in the process. But she didn't care. To her, poor people didn't deserve to live. They make the world a trashy and ugly place. As Liam was lost in thought, thinking about all the pain Erin had caused him, suddenly, Mrs. Lopez threw the bottle of water at Liam, hitting him on the head with it.